Yeah, welcome to another weekly wrap here in the factory. It's a Tuesday. It's the second day of winter. It's been pretty cold and wet and a little bit miserable, but we're staying positive. Some new sign writing for the forklift. Just so when we drive it through town, everyone knows where it's from. You got some magnets made for some signage for a job we've just been involved on where we needed a little bit of extra coverage. So I've got some magnets there. A couple other jobs that are underway. Where this is a stainless section that Dan's been working on. It sits above a Unox oven set, and it's these are the side profiles. They're like a stainless section. When you look at the end section, you've got like this 5mm shadow that sits against the joinery, 10mm shadow that sits against the oven, and it's all fixed together on three sides. So it creates this really nice shadow line around the oven. But we've got a meat safe going into this job, sort of semi-commercial kitchen space. So we've got an extra set of these fittings, but we've had to cut them down by 50mm to make them fit the meat safe. So there's an over section, a louvered section that sits above the oven, and we've cut all that down 50mm too. That's coming from Italy. We've got it in it's raw stainless, but it's got to be powder coated in a satin black. So we've got that raw, cut it down. That needs to go off for powder coating. The job we did last year in Sydney, the big, in Mossman, a big underground cellar that we fitted out. Heading up to Sydney this weekend with the final section of that. There's some brass work with overhead lighting and glass displays and bottle areas.
We should film that.
Yeah, we'll film that. So I got a new tarp for the trailer. So that's in there, big green canvas tarp. So that's ready to go because it's obviously might rain. The cellar that was here in previous videos, see all this space? It's gone. It arrived in New South Wales Monday, and so it's off our hands, and we've got all this room back, which is really exciting. The Port Melbourne Japanese influenced renovation extension, which we've had a few videos on. These are the floor tracks for the shoji. So if you come up close, this is 19mm. This is a 4-track, 1, 2, 3, 4 rebates, 3mm deep. And then we've got an offset section here, which just throws us off enough off the window to miss the door handles. So that's the floor section. There's a hall section here, which gives you the same offset to miss door handles, but there's a 2-track. And then these are the head sections in 32mm, the 2-track again and an offset. We'll move down, some more tracks here, and then more tracks again here. So the detail on the tracks is actually here. If we come in close here and have a look, we've got a window section here. We're creating these black pelmets, so there'll be blinds sitting in here that drop down. And then we've got our shoji track, and then we're building out plaster coming up and across to the upper windows. So they're just, that's just doing the takeoffs for the black blind pelmet. So that's this gear. The bottom edge here is edged, which sits over the top of the window, so you don't see any raw edges. And the rest come down, and we create these shadows. The track and the plaster line will sit over, so it creates a shadow, and this just becomes sort of a dark area that block out blinds sit in. There's some stiffness here, screwed back to the wall. That's the overall length. We're running past each end on the window, so you get some decent block out. Another drawing there, sort of showing that the door, the window jamb and glass comes up, cross down. Cantilever section, plaster up and in to the window. This is angled just so you still maintain some view lines, because this ends up becoming quite a deep section. It's 303, 120 gap here, 15 over and that shadow. So we've got some, on each end of this pelmet, there'll be some infills. That 65mm bit will be expended another 56 to make it in above the window line. The other thing we're working on here, Ray's doing some plenum boxes, which is for the climate control units at that job. So that's another little section there. So above, this is ceiling line, wall line, robes. We've got a marine ply or form ply plenum box we create here, and then we've got the bulkhead unit, and then we make up these little, we've got ravine oak doors, and we've got so we've got some solid oak slatted grills above, and then this section coming around with the plaster top. So we've drawn that here full scale. So this is your wall line, and that's your ceiling line. I don't know if you can see that well, but then the plaster, this is our marine ply box that comes around. We've then got a double 70 by 45 timber on here, and the plaster comes down from the ceiling and returns in. The aircon unit sits in here, and there'll be gas lines coming in. The grill sits here. It's a little 19 by 7 slatted solid oak grill that you would see on our Genko Pod video if you check that out, but they're quite a nice integration. But this can be removed. You can get access to the unit for servicing and for return air vent cleaning. And then if the unit ever needs replacing, the plaster, I think with any, unless you've got big, ugly access panels, there's always sort of an opening up of an area to access the unit if it ever needs to be, repaired or replaced. In this case, you can cut the plaster, and this double section can be undone, and then you've got access to remove the unit or access it more fully. And then reinstating this is obviously, you're putting this section back on, replastering, repainting, but it's not opening up a huge section that's integrated with directly with the ceiling or walls. So it's much more of an isolated opening. That's the top of the doors. We do these in marine ply, so it's quite a durable surface for aircon and humidity. So they're going into 4 rooms. The master bedroom has one above the robe. The front 2 bedrooms have one for the room, and then one of the bedrooms opens up into the main living dining area, which feeds the other way. So nice, all nicely integrated. The one that opens into the other bedroom has a bar grill, so you'll see more of that on site. So that's taking place there. Nick's working on some more shoji. This is actually a job in Mornington. Don't often get jobs so close to home, but always nice. So this is going into a robe with a traditional bottom and top track. So that's part way under construction. All these nice, clean, open surfaces. Nice to appreciate, because often it's very congested in here. We'll meander on next door. The cellar for Hawthorn's got to go up and be installed next week, so that'll be out of here too, which will be nice. Another, that's the bed for Rye. So it's got like a slated base and then a mattress. You would have seen the video on the set out for all of that. The main shoji back wall down there is still covered. I think the handover there's in late July. So I think we'll have a video on all of that. I think there's obviously been a fair bit of interest in the set out of that job. And we'll have to wait a little bit longer until we can sort of show you that as a finished product. Through here, this is, or maybe start here, but these are some shojis for a job in Kew. So it's actually a dog enclosure in a lounge. So there's 6 of these that slide across, and there's dog crates in behind with where they can sleep, and then it's underneath a cantilevered shelf. So we've also then got these 2 which can be open front, so when the dogs are away at night, these doors can be pulled across from behind, and these are obviously slatted so that you get airflow through, is just more of a securing area. Sorry, that's not true. These two are for a job in Mornington. These have to be dipped with our age solution. So these will end up becoming sort of more patinaed and greyed off. So that's for the commercial kitchen in the upper window over the sink. But back on here, these are the guys that come across. So when the dog's away, you've got two of these that pull across rather than having the paper, so that's a breathable area. So that one's ready to go out, just waiting on some final brackets. Through in here, these are the shojis for rye, for the that same job with the bed. So we've still got paper to put on the back. We've got our pockets, these little Hayfelly small cabinet door hinges. So those are all ready to go. They're all been coated, just need papering and then delivering. The idea is to, again, that'll go down in late July so they don't get damaged on site. And then down here, actually we've got a lot of fixtures here. This is for the job in Port Melbourne. So a lot of the appliances and componentry here to get right for the joinery. Same here, oven. This is a wine cellar going into a job in Frankston. Double depth at the bottom. We've got slatted shelves through the bottom, so you can either box display or pyramided wine. We've got a little LED light over there so we can light at the bottom. Bench over here, double display, single pocket above, side display here. So there's lighting in here too, so you can either have magnums or half bottles, full bottles, but they're side displays so you can light up the labels, and just this sort of adds just a bit of interest to the overall facade. Diamonds on the ends, and then we've got an alcove here which has a perimeter light on three sides and an upper light in the front. And then there's a whole lot of backlighting here. The unit sits off the wall about 70mm, and there's light flooding or light wash down the wall, so you can really backlight it. And behind you here is this is that display. So if you look in here, we've got slatted. I don't know if you can see in there, but you've got the slatted back. That's your base. So it obviously sits up, and then you can see your perimeter lighting runs right round. And then we've got adjustable glass shelves built in here as well. So that's coming together. I think that might be it. Yeah. Can't think of anything else to tell you other than that's that job in Frankston. So they've got more of that look with the alcove, subtle ambient lighting. There'll be more rear lighting on this one, so it'll come together. So that's that. But I think that's probably the wrap for this week. Over and out.